Hi everybody, this is TheNavdeepKaur and welcome to my channel. As many of you might already know, I'm a writer, and there's no way you can be a writer without being a reader. One of my earliest memories of reading is from 3rd or 4th grade when my parents had set up a desk in a corner of our room for me to study at, but I remember that desk always being filled with books. I just loved getting lost in different worlds and going on adventures with fictional characters. As I got older and busier in school and life, my love for reading sadly began to take a back seat. And I think part of it was also that I began to feel a disconnect with many of the characters in the books that I came across. They didn't look like me. They didn't experience the same cultural issues that I faced every day, and their problems were so different from my own. And I think that's what made me want to be a writer myself. I wanted to tell stories that were rooted in my own experiences and stories that reflected my culture. I'm so happy to say that I'm finally coming across more writers like me, people of color, women of color, minorities telling their stories. So for the past year, I've been stealing every minute I can to read these books. I'm sure there are many readers out there who are yearning to read stories that they can relate to. So I'm here with my book recommendations for summer 2019. I'll try to do one of these videos every season, so please consider subscribing by clicking the red button below and the bell icon next to it so you'll be the first to find out when I post a new video. I'll give you a brief synopsis of the book, read a small section, and share some of my thoughts and feelings. I have 5 book recommendations for this season and they're in no particular order. I love them all equally. So let's get started. First on my list, Girls Burn Brighter by Shobha. This is the story of 2 best friends and their tumultuous journey through life. Purnima and Savita have 3 strikes against them. They are poor, they're ambitious, and they are girls. After her mother's death, Purnima has very little kindness in her life. She is left to care for her siblings until her father can find her a suitable match. So when Savita enters their household, Purnima is intrigued by the joyful, independent-minded girl. Suddenly, their Indian village doesn't feel quite so claustrophobic, and Purnima begins to imagine a life beyond arranged marriage. But when a devastating act of cruelty drives Savita away, Purnima leaves behind everything she has ever known to find her friend. What I loved about this book is that it is raw in its depiction of human cruelty, but you still keep going with a small ray of hope still burning in your heart. So I'll read a small section that just tugged at my heartstrings. No, Savita said. Here's what matters. Understand this, Purnima, that it's better to be swallowed whole than in pieces. Only then can you win. No elephant can be too big. Only then no elephant can do you harm. They grew silent. Next, I have The Palace of Illusions by Chitra Banerjee Divakaruni. I was introduced to this writer by my high school English teacher, and I am forever grateful that these books entered my life. This is the retelling of Draupadi/Panchali's story from the Mahabharata. Where most stories in Hindu mythology are told from the male perspective, Chitra Divakaruni tells the story from the female lens. Married to 5 royal husbands who have been cheated out of their father's kingdom, Panchali aids their quest to reclaim their birthright, remaining at their side through years of exile and a terrible civil war. But she cannot deny her complicated friendship with the enigmatic Krishna, or her secret attraction to the mysterious man who is her husband's most dangerous enemy as she is caught up in the ever-manipulating hands of fate. This story is pure magic. I learned so much about India's history and was amazed by how Chitra Divakaruni gives a strong voice to a female character who has often been sidelined by the storytellers who came before her. In this section, Panchali has just heard a sadhu's prophecy about her destiny. You don't have a choice, my dear. I'll enter a hermitage. I'll never marry. His crooked teeth flashed. Destiny is strong and swift. You can't trick it so easily. Even if you hadn't come seeking it today, in time it would have found you. But in your case, your own nature is going to speed its process. So here's another retelling, but this time it's a Desi retelling of an English classic. Unmarriageable by Soniah Kamal is Jane Austen's Pride and Prejudice set in modern-day Pakistan. I remember reading Pride and Prejudice when I was in high school and thinking, Wow, this is so similar to what most Indian girls go through. Apparently, great minds think alike. In this one-of-a-kind retelling of Pride and Prejudice set in modern-day Pakistan, Alice Bennet has sworn never to marry, until an encounter with one Mr. Darcy at a wedding makes her reconsider. This novel is witty and I love the names of the characters in this book. Soniah Kamal has done a great job of exploring love, marriage, class, and sisterhood in a very charming, humorous, and lovingly sarcastic manner. Girls from marriage-obsessed communities will devour this book. Mrs. Bennet's ambitions for her daughters were fairly typical. Groom them into marriageable material and wed them off to no less than princes and presidents. Before their fall, her husband had always assured her that no matter what a mess Alice or any of the girls became, they would fare well because they were Bennet girls. Let's move on to A Place for Us by Fatima Farheen Mirza. I came across this book on Twitter and was sold at the mention of Nusrat Fateh Ali Khan in one of her interviews. As an Indian wedding gathers a family back together, parents Rafiq and Leela must reckon with the choices their children have made. There is Hadia, their headstrong eldest daughter, whose marriage is a match of love and not tradition. Huda, the middle child, determined to follow in her sister's footsteps. And lastly, their estranged son Amr, who returns to the family for the first time in 3 years to take his place as brother of the bride. What secrets and betrayals have caused this close-knit family to fracture? Can Amr find his way back to the people who know and love him best? This is a tender-hearted story about identity, belonging, and family, and one that most immigrants can relate to. The sense of not being understood, the desire to make your family proud, and the compulsion to hide your own pain from the ones you love. Here is a very endearing scene from the book. He is silent. He twists his mouth and presses his tongue against his cheek. Then he lifts his dirty white shoe and reveals its sole. Approximate is written on the heel in black pen. I wrote it just in case, but I didn't really use it. I just checked to make sure I got it right. Hadia's breath catches in her. It had never occurred to her to cheat. Qasam, you won't tell Baba? Qasam, she tells him. And last but not least, I have a memoir. First comes Marriage, my not-so-typical American love story by Huda Al-Marashi. When Huda meets Hadi, the boy she will ultimately marry, she is 6 years old. Both are the American-born children of Iraqi immigrants who grew up on opposite ends of California. Hadi considers Huda his childhood sweetheart, the first and only girl he's ever loved. But Huda needs proof that she is more than just the girl Hadi's mother has chosen for her son. She wants what many other American girls have: the entertainment culture's almost singular tale of chance meetings, defying the odds, and falling in love. She wants stolen kisses, romantic dates, and a surprise proposal. As long as she has a grand love story, Huda believes no one will question if her marriage has been arranged. I hugged this book after I finished it. Having gone through the creative nonfiction program when I did my Master in Fine Arts, I know firsthand how hard it can be writing about yourself so intimately. Huda Al-Marashi does a great job of making the reader feel scared, excited, and hopeful for the main character. There is so much fear attached to putting your own story out in the world to be judged. I commend the author for finding the courage within her. It's so personal, I could feel like my own thoughts and fears about marriage were captured in these pages. A hababa, a good girl, was defined almost exclusively by what she didn't do. She didn't talk to boys, she didn't dance at parties, she didn't wear sleeveless dresses or wear short skirts, show up at one party in the wrong dress, dance a little too long at a wedding, and that descriptor would be plucked from your name. However, these strict guidelines oddly comforted me. Huda hababa, I'd hear one of the aunties in our community say, and it was as if she had patted me on the back and said, "Don't worry, you have been such a good girl. You will be picked by the best guy." It was that implied guarantee that made all the self-denial, all the careful guarding of my reputation worth it. The best guy would pick me. Maybe it would be Hadi, or maybe it would be someone else. And in that small space between getting engaged and married, my love story would begin. These are the 5 books that made the cut for summer 2019, and I'll be sure to link them in the description box below so you can check them out. If you have a book that you've absolutely fallen in love with, then please let me know in the comments section below so I can check it out. Please give me a thumbs up if you like this video and consider subscribing if you haven't already. Thanks for watching. Until next time.